Leave your worries right at the door. Watch them as they drop to the floor. Oh, I wouldn't, have it any other way. I left the room for better days. Your life is sweet like Minute Maid. You shouldn't feel the need to lose your faith. The seasons come and go and change. I just hope you'll hear me say.
All right, good morning, KW Milwaukee on Tuesday, December 14th. I hope everybody is having an incredible start to your day, and I'm super stoked because we have a special guest speaker for you guys, so you don't have to listen to me today. We have Sarah Oberbrunner's brother, Kary, who's going to jump on our call, but first we have a few things that we got to go through just to get the group up to speed on a handful of items. So first up, I want to make sure, especially those of you who do business at a very, very high level, you mark your calendars for next week's team meeting. Here's why. Keller Concierge is coming to Milwaukee Monday, December 20th. What this program is, it offers your clients access to credit at 0% interest for 12 months for up to a $75,000 loan on your property or on their property. The results that they've run this out in Atlanta and Austin and some other places have been incredible returns on investment for clients. So it's a great access to a resource for you as you think about preparing for the spring market and leveraging ways in which that you can help your clients maximize the return on their investment as they're getting ready and prepping their homes coming to the market. So if you are interested in this program, I would not miss next week's Tuesday's team meeting. The group from Austin who is leading this charge and helping us roll it out in Milwaukee will be on our call to answer direct questions for you. So this will be introduced next week, Tuesday, December 21st at 9 a.m. with the team from Austin, Texas. Know this too, in order to access this program, you do have to go through Keller Offers training. We'll make sure that we get you all this information, but it's a great program that if you have clients that need a kitchen remodel, who need a bathroom remodel, who need flooring, deep clean, landscaping, painting, whatever it may be, it gives them a line of credit at a minimum $1,000 all the way up to $75,000 with 0% interest for 12 months. So it's an incredible program. Stay tuned for more details next week as we start to roll this out for our market in the Milwaukee area. Sound good? Awesome. Couple other things that I just want to touch on real quick as we are heading into the final part of the year. We are in the week of December 13th. Couple things coming up this week. Obviously, we have Kary joining us this morning for team meeting. And then tomorrow at 1 p.m., Abby Wall is talking all around how her and her husband, Joby, have built their investment business and investment portfolio and building passive income and building net equity balance sheet wealth through their investment portfolio. So stay tuned for that. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. via Zoom. And then we have the Lake Country White Elephant Party at 3 p.m. tomorrow for those of you who are interested. And then next week in Tosa is the White Elephant Lunch at noon on Monday. There is a team meeting next week, Tuesday, because the Keller Offers is a new program that we just got rolled out into the market. So there will be a team meeting next week, Tuesday, and then we will be off for 2 weeks heading into the holiday weeks. Sound good? One other thing I do want to note that you guys are aware, so that you guys are aware of, we will be closing the offices at noon on the 23rd, and we will be closed on the 24th. Okay. And we'll be closing the office at noon on the 30th. And the office will be closed on the 31st. However, if you have closings, you still will have access. The team from Focus, if you have a Focus title closing, will still be here if they're on those days. Again, I'm trying to give, because the holidays land on a Saturday this year, I'm trying to give our team availability of time with their folks and their families. Sound good? Cool. Awesome. As we talked about, Abby Wall's building an investment business is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Live in the North Shore or join via Zoom. So feel free to check that out. And then upcoming in January, there are only 5 more seats coming up for Ignite. If you want to take Ignite, I would sign up now. Be on the lookout for the registration details within the Insights and Resources email. All right, handful of people to celebrate that we want to make sure that we're congratulating. And in the month of November, we had an all-time record in company high in the month of November. So here we go. Be fast and furious in the Duvall group. There's many of you, so pay attention. Here we go. First up, the Queen of Scripts, Scripts and role play. I got a little tongue tied there. Laura Brewster, congrats on capping in the month of November. I may be your fastest ever at KW. Am I right on that or wrong on that?
Well, actually, the 12 days over my every year goal.
12 days. 12 days over her fastest, but who's counting? Next up, Tosh, running a big business, capped in the month of November. Congrats on capping in the month of November, Tosh, who runs an incredible team. Her business and her team's business is up over 30% this year. They're absolutely doing great things and big things. Be on the lookout for Duvall Group and their continued growth and success in 2022. Next up, KG, Kevin Gardy. Coolest thing about Kevin Gardy, if you did or did not know this, Kevin Gardy is part of the 100% Club. He makes more in profit share a year than what he pays in his cap. If you want to learn more about it, KG is a great person to ask. KG, congrats on capping in the month of November. Next up, John Mclaren. The guy comes in out of nowhere, decides I'll sell a little bit of real estate in November, caps in the month of November. John Mclaren, congrats on capping. I still owe you that game of ping pong here in the basement. Congrats. Next up, this person came in from, owns a couple of salons in and around the Milwaukee area, having a ton of fun with her husband, Tom. Steph Miller, who absolutely crushed it in 2022. Steph Miller, congrats on capping in the month of November. Another person who recently made a transition into the real estate game, who joined the Corey Double Bolt team, Karen Rapogli. Congrats on capping in the month of November. Guys, we're only like halfway through. We have so many cappers in the month of November, and it's freaking awesome. I love it. Next up, the three-headed monster of the Fall Groove and Gallagher team. These guys are awesome. If you don't know, they take a ton of time to give back philanthropically, mentoring others and giving back to others. It's who they are between the three of them, and they run their business. You know, it's very rare that you have a partnership that works between three people. Usually, there's always an alpha that rises to the top, and they're a great epitome of what it is to run a business as a partnership. So congrats to Molly, Rick, and Katie. Next up, Kathy Shaw, capped in the month of November. You want to hear the coolest story about capping in the month of November for Kathy Shaw? It was on one transaction. Wow. Do the math on that. Right? So congrats to Kathy Shaw on capping in the month of November. Next up, do me a favor. If you know Karen Spinty, shoot her a Facebook message or shoot her a text. Her mother just recently passed away, who was near and dear to her heart. And so I'm not sure if Spinty's on the call today, but if you want to do me a favor, wrap our arms around her, as I know it's been a difficult time in the last few weeks, especially heading into the holidays. So Spinty, congrats on capping in the month of November. All right, next up, Abby Wall, as we talked about, runs a big investment business, also runs an incredible real estate sales team with her husband, Joby. They just made their first hire. They're absolutely doing great things. And get this, they lived in Europe for the last 3 to 4 years playing professional basketball. So it's proof is in the pudding that you can move to Milwaukee and build a great book of business out of nowhere and absolutely kill it. Congrats, Abby Wall. And the last one for the North Shore Tosa Group before I flip it over to Deej is Caitlin Warner. Caitlin, newer to the business. Congrats, Caitlin, on absolutely killing it in the first few months here and having success. We congrats on everything that you've been up to. All right, Deej, I'm going to flip it over to you for Lake Country to roll through the remaining Lake Country cappers.
Awesome. Yep. Congratulations, North Shore. You guys had a huge month, and so did we. So excited to be celebrating these folks. Robert Carruthers, undercover dude who came from Army recruiting and translated that into a huge real estate business. So congratulations, Robert. And Bruce Gallagher. Bruce, congratulations on capping. Runs a huge team. Obviously, if you haven't met him, he's downstairs, so introduce yourself. Awesome. Way to go, Bruce. Kevin Matson. This man, community-driven, always out there doing amazing things. When he comes in our office, just smiles, because that's the kind of personality he has. And huge win. First-time capper. Love to see this for you, man. Good job. Good job, good job. Mary Beth Milkey. Business doubled last year to this year, and of course we all know what last year did, brought a huge year. So congratulations, success on success and success. Love to see that for you. Congratulations on your capping success. And Kathy Thomas, Team Trimble, you do amazing work here and we love it. She's also brings the joy and sunshine in here, and clients love working with her. So Katie, good to see you here. Capping, congratulations. Laura Chokazadik started her business in the middle of a pandemic and has just blown it out of the water. So congrats on all of your success. Love to see you up here too. And there we go. Now we're rolling into awards, yeah?
Yeah, so for the sake of time and because it's December 14th, we're going to roll through the awards quickly, right? I'm not going to really read through them as we usually do Kentucky Derby style, so we'll post these today. And know that we are literally 15 days away. For many of you, your year is already over. You're already working on 2022. So we're going to post the year-end results here very shortly, so stay tuned, because I want to make sure that we give Kary his due to get to Kary Oberbrunner as he's providing and pouring into our group today. So you can see here, November $1 Million Month Club and Home Run Club for Lake Country. Again, these will be posted today. November agent volume, year-to-date agent volume, and year-to-date agent units for the month of November in Lake Country. You can see the team volume in November, year-to-date team volume, and year-to-date team units. You can see now transitioning over to North Shore and KW Innovation, the Home Run Club, 1 listings taken, 1 contract written, 1 contract closed. Incredible to see this many people having success in the month of November. $1 Million Month Club, also incredible to see how many people had $1 million month in the month of November. All as a reminder, it was an all-time company record high. We broke a ton of records in the month of November. Congrats, guys, on all your continued success. You can see here individual volume for the month of November. Transitioning to year-to-date individual units. Remember, agents control their units. The market gives you volume. Year-to-date individual volume. Sarah Oberbrunner leading into her brother, Kary, jumping into the call. November team volume so far. For the month of November, 14 million for JSG, 14.5. Who says that no, you have to take a break in November? They prove it wrong all the time, right? Here you go, individual or year-to-date units for teams. Year-to-date team volume, 186 million, 160 million, 90 million. Whoo! And here we go. All right, so guys, as a reminder, next week, Tuesday, be on the call if you want to learn about the Keller's Offers program and leverage credit to help you maximize your clients' returns. So in July, I challenged this group. I looked at it. It was June 29th, heading into the 4th of July weekend. And I posted this script to make you guys think as we head into the holiday season. Imagine life is a game in which you are juggling 5 balls. The balls are called work, family, health, friends, and integrity. And you're keeping all of them in the air. But one day you finally come to understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it will bounce back. The other 4 balls, family, health, friends, integrity, are made of glass. If you drop one of these, it will be irrevocably scuffed, nicked, perhaps even shattered. So, Kary Oberbrunner, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce to you guys Kary Oberbrunner, an incredible author of the book Unhackable that came out, I believe, last year. He's an incredible coach, mentor, speaker, and what he is willing to give to us today is to pour into you. And I want you to think about those 5 balls and how work is the rubber ball. And as we head into the holiday season, what it is and what the state of mind it means to recharge and get away so that you come back refreshed so we can hit the ground running in 2022. Kary, I'm flipping it over to you.
Hey, everybody. Great to be with you. Hope you're doing fantastic. I tend to interact with the chat a lot, so feel free to do that. Can you all hear me? Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah. All right. Thanks, Annie. I see you, Annie. So I'm going to share my screen and hopefully we'll be able to get this rolling. Yes, perfect. Okay. So I came last year, and last year you were so special. I wore a suit. So I don't know why I was wearing a suit. Maybe I was super nervous. Who knows? But there were 103 of you last year, and there's 98 today. So that's cool. But we're 5 down, but it's all good. It's all good. So let me jump in with the chat today. First of all, I want to thank my sister and Charlie for bringing me in. It's an absolute blast to be here. I've been Sarah's brother my whole life. Little joke there. And by the way, big shout out to all of you for capping. I had a quick Google capping. I have a 16-year-old. Do you know what capping means if you're a teenager? Does anyone know this? Okay, Google it later, but it means you're lying. And I'm like, no, that doesn't mean they're lying. Charlie's not telling. And then I Googled it and it said in real estate, you're crushing it. So congratulations for all those who crushed it. I want to give a big shout out to Kevin and Robert, especially because they have the same haircut as me. So Kevin, Robert, good job. Love the hair. Okay. So here's what I want to do. Let's take a quick vote on a scale of 1 to 10. How would you rate your mental health last holiday season? And let's just be vulnerable. You are a fantastic group. I wrote down notes. I'm jealous of Abby going and playing pro basketball in Europe. Caitlin, you crushed it, newer to the business. Mary Beth doubling. And Charlie, what a great chat about those glass balls. Very cool. So jump in, folks. Put in the chat. 10 is you crushed it. You're amazing. And let's put in 0 is horrible, you know? So we're not going to share this publicly with anybody, but put in the chat. Thanks, Molly. Molly says 5. Ross, 8. Awesome. And some of you may have had a really tough year. We'll be praying for Karen's mother who passed. I can tell you, you all are a family. I mean, you care about each other. This is awesome. So a lot of you put 6, 7s, 9s, this type of thing. Here's my question. Here's my question. Thanks, Paula, for why wasn't it a 10? Why wasn't it a 10? And again, no shame, but I'm just saying for some reason, nobody put a 10, and that's okay. But for some reason, nobody put a 10. So let me ask you, why wasn't it a 10? Was it that you had to see your mother-in-law? Joke, kidding. Was it that you had to, you got COVID? I don't know. But why didn't you get 10? No family gathering. Okay. Thank you, Laura. Annie, traveling with family. Okay. A lot of people, health issues. Yes. Nobody put that I got distracted. Nobody put that I was watching my phone all day, every day. I was scrolling. But here's what I think. I think that distractions can hack us. And I want to go back really quick to when we were kids. So did any of you say as a kid, abracadabra? Anybody? I did. Yeah. Look at you all. You're fantastic. I see the thumbs up, all this stuff. When you're a kid, you say abracadabra, and here's what it means. It means I create as I speak. And what I want to do is I want to quickly return us to a childhood time where we basically imagined things and we thought they were going to come true. And maybe you looked at your life and said, you know what, I'm going to live in this perfect house with this perfect spouse, with a perfect family. And maybe life hasn't happened that way for you. Or maybe you've had this amazing season where you've been crushing it in business. But I think as kids, we kind of have this feeling of control over our lives. And notice when you feel in control, a lot of times you feel happier. You feel like your mental health is better. But now when we have a pandemic, or when Washington sends something, or the real estate has a different rate, we can feel out of control. And we can say, you know what, my month got hacked. Or my December, the week before Christmas got hacked. And what happens if we're not careful is we feel like we lose control. And when we lose control, our mental health goes down because we feel powerless. So today what I want to do is I want to share with you how you can regain power, how you can regain mental health, how you can regain that feeling of being unhackable. Now think for a moment. Imagine if your December was unhackable. What would that look like? Go ahead, type in some thoughts. What would it look like if you felt like you were unhackable in this December? And some of you might be like, what does that even mean? But we're going to talk about that. Does it mean that you would, okay, Bethany says powerful, fantastic. How would you feel relationally, spiritually, emotionally? Shauna, focus on the family, fantastic. Great. Well, here's what's interesting. in the Hebrew, abracadabra means it came to pass as it was spoken. Imagine if you could say, you know, I want to cap every single month in 2022. That'd be pretty powerful. And for those people who have faith, it's pretty powerful because abracadabra is made up of 3 Hebrew words. Abba is father, and son and spirit. So that's pretty interesting. Abracadabra literally means father, son, spirit. Interesting. So I believe that you were created on this planet to dream and do, to have an idea and to implement. And unfortunately, you know, we grow up thinking that that's going to be the reality. I'm going to go to college, I'm going to have a dream, and I'm going to do it. I'm going to start a real estate company. I'm going to be a sales agent, and it's going to happen. Unfortunately, what happens is life. Nobody woke up and said, you know what, I really hope we have this pandemic in 2020 that just hacks everybody. No, nobody said that. So unfortunately, we go into what's called stagnation or frustration. But this doesn't have to be the reality. I'm going to start with some bad news, and then we'll get into some good news. Okay. So this is not true about your company, because you guys are seriously exceptional. Oh my gosh. I thought about quitting my job and joining your team, Charlie, when you started. I mean, this is exciting. But the average company across the US feels like this on a regular basis. They feel stressed out, burned out, disengaged, unhappy, this type of thing. The average hacked brain is doing duplicate work every day. Imagine that. Imagine if you're doing repetitive, checking your email 36 times per hour. Has anybody felt like that? Come on now. You know, true confession. I used to get up in the middle of the night and check my phone. And how did that work? You know, not too well. I was an addict, and some of us are, you know, high performers. And if we're not careful, we're going to fall into this thing that I'm going to talk about today. It's what Michael Phelps struggled with. It's called overtraining. In other words, you can be too on, and as a result, just as Charlie said, some of those glass balls can fall, and everything falls. So when we're unhackable, this is where we are doing, you know, 6 hours or more of flow, and we'll get into that here today. You're doing blocks of work rather than working all day, every day. And when you're at home, you feel guilty because you're not at work. And when you're at work, you feel guilty because you're not at home. Has anybody ever felt like that? Or is it just me? All right. Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being honest. All right. Is Jeff Kramer on here? I invited some of my private Unhackable coaches today just because Kathleen was amazing and she said I could. But some of my coaches may be here. If anyone is, just type in yes. But here's a real guy who, you know, struggled with clarity, focus, and he went through this training, and he literally started unsubscribing. Do you realize that if you get emails in your inbox that you don't want, to press delete every day? Why are we doing that? Seriously, why are we hitting delete to Bath and Body Works, sending us an email every single day? Oh, wow. That hit. Listen, that hit somebody right there. I mean, I get it. I've been there, and you're just like, well, I'll hit delete. I'll hit delete again. No, set up patterns. Set up patterns and you know, unsubscribe. Renee's here. Renee's my friend. Okay. Some of us are in Facebook groups and LinkedIn groups and groups that are charging us monthly to be part of membership sites. And we're like, why? And Jeff started taking inventory and said, oh my gosh, $900 every month, every year. And he created his first course. In other words, folks, you and I have time that if we redeem it, if we buy it back, we could do amazing things. How many of you have ever felt super tired at night and you're like, I should go to bed, but I'm not going to, so I'll just start watching Netflix. And then it becomes episode 2 and episode 3, and it's 3 a.m. and you're watching this crazy series and you're like, how did this happen? You got hacked. You got hacked. All right. And Jeff even wrote a book here, and here he was, and here he is. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Look at this guy. And he's here in Arizona, but he got unhackable. Okay. So today I'm going to go quick. I have tons more to share. I don't have time today to get into all that, but I'm going to give you as best as I can. And so what I want to ask you is, wait, what if you, and some of you have teams here, what if you and your teams, or you and your own life, were able to have ideas, implement them, get the resources you need. Don't worry about VTO. That stands for Vision Traction Organizer. But what if you're able to do some incredible things and become unhackable in life? Well, you can, and I'm going to show you how today. Okay. So we live in a world of constant distractions. We'll get into some good news, but real quick, the average person today, how many times do you think we touch, click, swipe, or tap our phones? What do you think? Go ahead, pop in the chat. Some of you are heavy users. It sounds like a drug, you know, heavy users. So Bethany says 30,000. Ross says 350. Look at you all, you're fantastic. 2,600 times a day, the average person. And if you're really not so, you're going 5,400, okay? And we are literally all day, every day doing these 30-second bursts. Does anyone want a brain surgeon working on them while they're doing 30-second bursts, checking their phone? Anyone? No, that's because it's distracted work and the quality of work suffers. And I'm going to show you that in a moment. The average person today, according to Cal Newport, the author of Deep Work, you know, is not doing deep work. We're doing distracted work. And distractions, here's just some stats. You know, we are literally a society where we are getting hacked. We are getting distracted. 5,000 ads a day. The average person makes 226.7 food decisions. Some of you are like, oh my gosh. Now think about that. This is why we have what's called decision fatigue. At the end of the day, we feel like I'm going in circles. I'm running on fumes. I'm burning out. We use words that describe energy. How many people here would say that they struggle with energy? Come on, how many of you are drinking Red Bulls in the afternoon or caffeine, right? In other words, here's what we do many times. Sugar rush, caffeine fix, carb crash. In other words, what we do is we fuel our bodies just to get through, to get more productivity. But what cost? And here's what I say, a life of distractions will never produce a life of meaning. No one's going to be at the end of their life on their deathbed and be like, you know, I really wish I would have checked my smartphone one more time. I regret that. No, we're not going to do that. Now, some of us are multitaskers. How many women do we have here? Go ahead, type in yes if you're a woman here in the chat, right? I hear that women are great at multitaskers. That's how they survive motherhood. That's what I hear. Is this true? And one of you's got your little kid there and you're doing amazing. I see it. It's all good. I love little kids. I have 3 of my own. Multitasking. Some of us multitask, but here's what we're really doing. It's a myth. It's called switch tasking. You cannot do 2 cognitive things at the same time. Anyone here ever try to write up a contract while they're with their loved one? Anyone want to admit that? It means that we do worse in our productivity, 40% worse. It's worse than being stoned, okay? So your IQ drops then worse than being on drugs, and you're not being there for your conversation or the contract. I've tried writing books while being around family members at the same time. It's really tough. It makes it longer, and I don't do either well. Well, here's what I'm saying today. We need to learn how to become unhackable. In my opinion, it's the new secret weapon of super achievers. I went and looked years ago and said, how can we fight this thing? It's not by turning our phones off. It's not by eliminating all technology. That's not the answer. The answer is not going to be to become Amish, nothing against the Amish, but I don't think many of us want to ride buggies and not have phones. Okay? No, we gotta learn how to cope. And I'm going to give you some strategies today. So really quick, you might say, where is he getting this word hack? I thought hack meant a shortcut. The word hack actually means to gain unauthorized access to a system or a computer. And you might say, well, gee, talk about us getting hacked. Well, your body's made up of systems and your brain is like a supercomputer. So in a real way, you and I can get hacked. And I'm going to tell you how we get hacked and what the self-talk is when we get hacked, okay? When we get hacked, we'd like to say it's technology. We'd like to say it's our kids. We'd like to say it's our spouse. But here's what I know. All these things in white, these are just some of my excuses, right? Others, economy, time, distracted, nobody. What's common about all these things in white? Does anyone know? Others, economy, time, nobody.
It's displacing blame.
Oh, that's good. That's good. It's displacing blame. It's me saying, you know what? I'm not getting hacked. Others are hacking me. And here's what happens, folks. And again, even if you heard some of this last year, I'm tweaking it a little bit, but I also know that we need repetition. Many people wake up every single day as victims. And here's what they say: the world happens to me. The interest rates rose. The seller, it's their fault. The lender, it's their fault. The client, it's their fault. When we live in bed, blame, excuses, and denial, we live a life of powerlessness. But the opposite is a victor. A victor says, I'm going to put my oar in the water and move forward. I'm going to take ownership, accountability, and responsibility. And folks, for a large part of my life, longer than I want to admit, I lived in bed, blame, excuses, and denial. And Sarah knows my story, so I'm not letting any secrets out here. But I will just say that as a young adult, the way I coped with getting hacked was self-injury. So my story is one of depression as a young 20-something, cutting. And so I get it. When people talk about pain or struggle, man, I get it. I get it. But what I know is that until I became a victor, I didn't have a joyful life. And, and sometimes we even blame it on God, or other things. And that's what I did for a lot of my life. So let's talk really quick about what the self-talk is of someone who's hacked. And then we'll get into some tools and tips for you. So someone who gets hacked loses these 8 things. They lose a sense of control, clarity, competence, confidence, insight, influence, impact, and income. Has anybody been like that at a period in their lives where you've been like, oh my gosh, he's reading my mail or my email, all right? I've been there. But here's what's cool. Well, actually, what's not cool first is what you start saying about yourself. Okay, because this is a downward cycle. Here's what you start saying about yourself when you get hacked. I'm not in charge. I'm confused. I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. I have no inner vision. I have no effect on others. I have no credibility and I have no currency. That's not a good real estate agent. Is this true? Last time I checked, nobody wants to hire a real estate agent who says, I'm not in charge. I'm confused. And so what we do is we actually begin a self-fulfilling prophecy where all of this self-talk becomes our reality. In the ancient book, it says, as a man or a woman thinks, so are they. In other words, your mind is a projection or a preview to what's going to happen in your life. So you focus on all the negative, and guess what happens? It's like a seed. Negative seed produces negative fruit. So how do you switch it? Well, let's get away from all the negativity. Let's get away from all the self-talk. Let's get into some good news, okay? So the good news, let's get on with the good news because it's Christmas and the holidays and we want to get happy. But here's what the good news is. You can become unhackable. And it centers on three things. It centers on idea, focus, and flow, knowing, being, and doing. And Charlie, I'd love to give everyone a free copy of my audiobook.
Sure.
In fact, I'm gonna give everyone a link. It's unhackablebook.com, unhackablebook.com. And in fact, I'm going to share, Kathleen, the link with you later, okay? Because I can't remember it fully. So I'm going to give it to you all. But you'll get an audiobook and you'll get an ebook. Somebody just put in the notes. Thank you. I'm gonna type it out. unhackablebook.com/club book. Somebody try that. I think that's it. And then the password is unhackable. Unhackable, all lowercase. Somebody try that. Let me know if it works. But you'll get an ebook and an audiobook free. No email opt-in. I won't spam you. It's just a gift for you because I'm honored to be here today. But let me talk quickly about some tips here. Let's get into something that I want to jump into called your RAS filter. Okay, your RAS filter. Some of you wake up every day and you say, you know what? The world's against me. Come on now. Amber, it worked. Good job. Thank you, Amber. Your brain is interesting. Your brain processes over 4 billion bits of information every second. That's happening subconsciously. You're breathing, your heart's beating, your eyes are blinking. All kinds of things are happening, but your conscious brain can only process between 40 to 200 bits of information every second. And so you have what's called this thing at the base of your brain called a RAS filter, a reticular activating system. And what it does is it filters out all the things you don't want or you don't need. This is why when you're in an airport, someone can say your name and all of a sudden, amidst all the noise, you can look up and say, oh, they're calling me, because your brain is focused on your name. So what's interesting is this is what's your mind's eye. So just like Charlie started today by talking about success, Charlie is putting into your brains, and you all are as a community, you're putting in capping. And I can tell already that you have a culture of success at your company, and you have a culture of care because you're shutting down on the 23rd and the 30th. And I can tell that a lot about your culture, even just in a few minutes. But some of us have our RAS filter tuned into this. Nothing ever goes my way. The world's against me. I'm a loser. I feel like a failure. And when we turn our RAS filter to that, guess what happens? Your brain doesn't want to make you a liar. So your brain goes out and finds evidence to prove that you are telling the truth. So if you are ever stuck in a slump, you need to say to yourself, what am I telling my RAS filter to focus on? And most often you're focusing on that which you don't want, which is really crazy. We don't get what we want. We get what we think about. All right. So this is why when you say, I want a red Hummer, you see red Hummers. Or when you say, oh my gosh, my sister's pregnant, you see people pregnant all over the place. It can work for you or it can work against you. So here's a very practical tip. I would love for you to write down 3 things you want in 2022. This is the most important part of the whole talk. By the way, Jeff Kramer just jumped in, that guy that I mentioned at the beginning of the session. So welcome, Jeff. But I want you to literally write down, what are 3 things I want in 2022? What are 3 things I want in 2022? Could be physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Unless you have a filter, you're just going to go through another year. Most people just say, you know what, here's my New Year's resolution. And it becomes a thought, not a focus. To become unhackable, you need to let it seep into your focus. This is the difference between sun burning you for 3 hours on the Milwaukee beach in the summer, and a magnifying glass burning a hole in your skin in 3 minutes. Same sun, same skin, different amplification of the energy. And so literally you are powerful beyond measure if you focused your attention. But most of us, we don't. Most of us have a little goal here, and then we want something there, and then we want something there, and we slow bake our dreams. I want somebody to be bold. Put in the chat a goal that you had this last year. Maybe it was to pay off a certain debt. Maybe it was to overcome cancer. But what was a goal that you had to focus on? And I want to celebrate you just by reading it. Go ahead, don't be bashful. We want to celebrate you. What's a goal that you focused on, and as a result, you became unhackable and achieved it? Capping, Laura, good job. I love it. Laura did capping, fantastic. She's the only one out of 100 people. No, I'm kidding. Sarah, better boundaries, fantastic. And she did that. And she handed me this amazing letter that she wrote to herself about boundaries. And I was like, oh my gosh, I need to apply some of that. Brazil, is that your name? That's an amazing name. Passed my MLO exam. Look at you. And here's what Sarah and Molly and Mary Beth and Laura, here's what they had to do. Christina, you had to say no to certain things. Is this true? Betty, look at Betty. Betty's from my team. I slipped in some of my unhackable coaches. I know Betty filled out a big proposal for the government. And by the way, she got shot down the first time. And she said, you know what? I'm going to come back with new knowledge and submit it again. And she submitted it again and got it. Folks, when you reach failure in your life, write this down. Failure is feedback. Ooh, I like that. Failure is feedback. Failure is Betty just saying, you know what? I need to tweak my proposal. Failure is you saying, you know what? I need to tweak it. I need to get better. I need to focus more. I need to step it up. I need to get stronger. By the way, this is a little side lesson, but I got to share it. Does anyone call their kids fallers when they learn to walk? You know, anybody have a grandkid or a kid and they try walking when they're little and they say, "What's your problem? Why are you such a faller?" No, we don't call the kid the noun. We call the kid the verb. We say the kid fell. What do we do as adults? We don't say I fail. We don't call it a verb. We call it a noun. We say I am a failure. Is that deep? Think about that for a moment. Why do we as adults name ourselves as an identity when in reality we just had a verb? We just failed. So you didn't get a sale. You failed. Who cares? Failure's feedback. You're not a failure, and that's where it becomes hacked. All right. Little bonus lesson there. All right, let's keep going. Here we go. I'm gonna give you some practical things here. Oh, this is good. This is good. Charlie, if your team does this, watch out. All right, folks, here's what you do. This is really powerful. Invest in a pack of Post-it notes. Is anybody here worth a pack of Post-it notes? Come on now. Yeah, you are. Do yourself a favor, get a pack of Post-it notes and watch what happens. Here's what you do. You write down every open loop in your head. Now, let me explain that. Every undecided decision, you write it down on a Post-it note. So I'm telling you, if you want to go into Christmas with peace and mental clarity, here's what you do. You write down a Post-it note, like everything, meaning fix the front doorstep, dry cleaning the clothes, You know, get Jimmy his whatever COVID shot or whatever. I don't know. You write down every single thing that's an open loop, an undecided decision, a task that has yet to be done. And you put this all out on a table. You ready? Watch this. This is really good. This is in Unhackable, by the way. So you all got this book now. You can do the exercise. Here's what you do then. You write down on three big pieces of paper on a wall: do, delegate, and dump. So remember, on your little pieces of paper, you write down all your tasks. And then on big pieces of paper all over your room, you write down do, delegate, and dump. Now watch what happens. You take all your tasks and you organize them under, I'm going to do it, I'm going to delegate it, or I'm going to dump it. Because here's what we do. We all walk around with too many windows open, just like a browser. What happens if your computer browser has 52 tabs open? How many of you know your friend here and they have 52 tabs open on their desktop? Just call them out. Call them out. Right in the chat. Say, Karen, what are you doing? Abby's got 52 tabs. Caitlin, no, I'm kidding. But I'm one of those guys that has a lot of tabs open on my computer. And here's what happens. It affects your RAM. What happens in your life when you have too many open windows? You walk around thinking, you know what? I should do lunch with that person. I forgot to get that person a present. When someone comes up to you and says, we should do lunch, here's what you should say. Yes, let me get out my calendar and schedule it. Or no, you know what? I just can't do that in my life right now. Whoa, that's a boundary. But here's what we end up saying. We end up saying, yeah, we should do lunch sometime. Open window. Right? Come on now. We do this a lot where we say, yep, we should do that. And it creates all these open windows in your head. And now you get hacked. When instead, if you could just put do, delegate, and dump. And here's what this is. This is a thing right from the book. Do it means you do it. Delegate it means somebody else does it. And dump it means nobody does it. And when you do that, you close a window. Do you know what the word decide means? Does anyone know? The word decide is from the same suffix as suicide, pesticide, insecticide, genocide, homicide. Do you know what the word decide means? To kill. When you make a decision, you kill your options. You kill your options. And as a result, you show up filled up in one spot. Rather than leaking your power in all these windows, you show up in life in a very focused, powerful way. I'm going to ask somebody, what do you do to a tree that's unhealthy? The branches, what do you do? Somebody type it in. What do you do? You cut it off, you prune it. Annie, Peter, exactly. Here's what the point is. You ready for this? When a tree has too many branches, it's leaking its power, which is the sap. So what do? They cut it off. They kill it. That's the same word as decide. You in your life right now are like a tree, and some of us have too many decisions that we are letting hack us. And we need to literally do this exercise so that we can have that sap show up in our lives. Does that make sense? Awesome. All right, I'm going to go a few more minutes and then we'll close. A few more minutes. There's this thing called flow, okay? Flow is the optimal state of human performance. Flow is when you are just undistracted and you're crushing it, and you're either with your family and you're losing sense of time, or you are just crushing the sales and you're filling out the purchase agreements or whatever you call it. You guys know that better than me. But here's what I want to talk about. Flow is these characteristics. It's total absorption. And I'm going to show you how to get into flow. That's how we're going to close. Flow is total absorption, where you're not focused on the past or the future. You're focused on the deep now. It's where you have extreme focus. This is where you're in flow, just like Captain Sully landed the plane. Miracle on the Hudson, extreme focus, he was in flow. Time dilation, where you are so much in love with what you're doing, you lose sense of time. This is where you sit down with your friend and 4 hours go by and the waiter and waitress served you breakfast and lunch and you're like, oh my gosh, where'd the time go? Vanishing sense of self. You no longer judge. What do people think of me? How am I performing? What is my boss going to say? But just like Dead Poet Society, you stand up and that inner critic shuts up and this beautiful thing flows out of you. You have high performance. This is where you become 500% more productive. McKinsey and Company said that this is the one factor of all successful people, is that they tap into flow more often than those who don't. This is where you can come to work on Monday and do more than someone who comes every single day of the week. Why? Because you're in flow. And I'm going to show you how to get into flow here in a moment. Here's what's actually happening in your brain. Ready for this? When you get into flow, you need to have struggle. So struggle's good. You want stretch, but not snap. If a task is too easy, you're bored. If it's too hard, you're overwhelmed. So you want struggle, and this is where we call it a preloading phase. And you get into what's called the beta brain waves. Then you move into what's called the release, the alpha brain waves. And there's all kinds of neurochemicals that are happening in your brain in this time. Then you move into flow, where you have dopamine and endorphins and andamine. But here's what Charlie and I wanted to talk about as we close today. Recovery. Folks, if you do not have the fourth stage of flow, you will burn out your adrenal glands. I know a client who for 1 year has had chronic fatigue syndrome because she was crushing it too much. She wanted to stay in a perpetual state of flow, struggle, release, and flow, but she didn't do recovery. Folks, holiday season is coming. If you kind of show up and kind of recover and kind of spend time with your family and kind of check your phone and kind of do this, and there's a little piece of you everywhere, you're not going to be able to come back and absolutely crush it. What I want you to think about is when you're off, and when you're on, you're on. LeBron James, is he playing basketball every day, all day? Or is he saving it for game time? And then, yes, he goes to practice. I shouldn't even say LeBron James. Who's your guy? The Greek freak, right? Man, that was fun. That was fun. I was watching every single game. Milwaukee Bucks, go Bucks, right? But when he's on, he's on. But some of us, we're always on. And what happens is we go through this period of loss. It shortens your gap to mastery. And just in conclusion, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just a pretty cool slide. These are 5 neurochemicals that happen in your brain when you get into flow. Superhuman focus, withstand discomfort. You have these brilliant creative ideas. And you know what happens? Most of us aren't in flow, so we try to substitute it with drugs or addictions. So, God put in your brain and your body these neurochemicals to happen naturally, but some of us say, I'm not getting it. I gotta down 5 Red Bulls. And we kind of substitute only for so long. So in conclusion, folks, I just want to set you up with a few tools. These are all free. The Unhackable Flow Trigger Assessment. You can go to unhackablebook.com and you can say, how much of my life am I actually creating flow triggers? It's pretty cool. You take that test, it's free, and it will say, you know what, you have a lot of flow triggers, or you know what, you don't have enough. So it's a great moment of self-discovery. It'll take you 3 minutes. Another thing that you can do is you can basically take the Unhackability Assessment, and the Unhackability Assessment is also at unhackablebook.com. Why am I passionate about this? Because Carl Jung said the most damaging thing in the life of a child is the unlived life of the parent. And nobody wakes up and says, I want to live the unlived life. In other words, we get hacked. So you're going to be around nieces, nephews, grandkids, kids. You're an uncle or an aunt. You got some family that you might be around. And I want you to have the best holiday season. Why? So you don't have Groundhog Day, which leads to Groundhog Month, which leads to Groundhog Year and the Groundhog Life. And so, folks, it's been great being with you today. Obviously, I have a ton more to share, but I don't have time to get into that. But I will tell you this. This is a deep passion of mine. Here's my one little thing. If you want to be on a list that says, you know what, Kary, I want some of this all year long. We have a community that we're starting. It's made up of all kinds of people, all kinds of professions, but it's people who say, I want to be a soul on fire. And we have a community, and it starts with $1 trial. The goal is not to make money, but if you want to be on the first to know list, there you go. And Charlie, I got to hang out with realtors yesterday. One of my passions is blockchain technology and NFTs. And so I got into real estate, about NFTs and fractional purchases and all that. So sometime maybe we can talk blockchain and futurist stuff, but it was a blast to be here. Thanks for having me.
Kary, we appreciate your time and willingness to give back to our group, because I think in the last 18 months, what has taught us is the mental health ability of someone to be in flow in order to produce the results that they want. And I think, having heard you and seen you and read your book and different things before, I think my takeaway from today was, what's in my RAS? Like, what's in my focus in order for me to have optimal performance moving ahead into 2022. And so, guys, as you think about and you head into the holiday season, are you being fully present with your family? Are you being present and aware of your 5 balls, and those of which one is rubber and the other 4 or 5 are glass? And are you in optimal recovery so that you come back refreshed versus what I would probably call deceptive recovery, where you feel like you're just on the hamster wheel?
Very good. Those are great takeaways.
So, Kary, we appreciate you. Thank you for your time and your willingness to give back to our group. We sincerely appreciate you pouring into our community.
Awesome. Keep selling great houses, everybody. I'm proud of you. Take care. See ya.
Awesome. Have a great 2022, Kary. Guys, have a great week. And we will see you next week for the presentation on Keller Concierge and Keller Offers. Make it a great day, guys. Thanks for showing up.
Thanks, John.
Thank you, Charlie. Oh, okay. Well,